conversation after. Call to order. Adoption of agenda 2.1 recommendation.
The council adopt agenda as presented.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Adoption of minutes? None. Introduction of late items? We have 8.5, and it's to purchase or replace what is it, a tractor, Chris, that we have?
Yeah, our little utility tractor, your worship.
Okay. Introduction of late items. Public hearing none. Delegation 6.1 recommendation.
The council hear the delegation from Sergeant Staff Dan Morrell, EMC.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Hello, Damon. Hello.
Hello there.
How are you?
So, watching it get ready, so.
Okay. So what do we have for you? Or what do you have for us, I should say?
Are you ready for me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, perfect. So I wanted to address council today about the 2021 policing priorities. So that's what I'd like to go over with you quickly. I do have a quick presentation for you. It's just easier to see some of those numbers and stats and crime trends on a presentation. So if you're ready with that, maybe I'll start that. Can you see me and hear me okay?
You bet. We can see you up on the TV and we have you there. So. Whatever, go ahead, Damon. Are you on mute?
Host, just, yeah, no.
Oh,
So
you need to be the host,
host.
right? You need to be the host on this.
Oh yeah, probably.
How do I change this? Oh, I need my husband. Or make host. Do you want to change the host? Yes. You are the host.
Nothing changed, but I guess you're the host.
No, he should be able to do his thing now. I believe. There we go.
Yeah, got it.
Thank
Woohoo!
Hey,
Technology's working.
you. You bet.
Okay, so just give me a wave or stop me there if you can't hear me for some reason. Hopefully it works okay. But so we'll start with the 2021 policing priorities. So each year, you may or may not know, each year between January and March, we begin the process of identifying our policing priorities for the next fiscal year. So the council, I understand, operates on the calendar year. The RCMP operates on the fiscal year. So my policing priorities start April 1st and they end March 31st of the following year. So when I engage and begin building my policing priorities, that involves engaging in bilateral communication with our partners and stakeholders and multi-agency collaboration to ensure that our priorities are aligned with the needs and expectations of the communities we serve. So that's part of the reason I'm talking to you today, to let you know what we're seeing. And I want you to know what I know, what we're seeing as far as crime trends. And I'll give you my recommendation or based on the crime trends, and we'll discuss and see if you're kind of on the same page or maybe you have something else to offer that I'm not aware of. So these, what you're looking at is our 3-year crime trends. So as you're looking at these, it's important to note that the crime trends you see in front of you cannot be compared to each other, but only with itself year over year. So don't compare it to vehicle to BNA versus crimes, because that's not how this is built. It doesn't make any sense. The visual representation in front of you is structured to show each crime group measured against itself throughout 2018, 2019, and 2020. So as you'll note, we've seen significant decreases in theft of vehicle and break-in-enters. These were areas in which we focused policing resources throughout the 2019 and 2020 police priorities. So they were effective is what I'm saying. Can you hear me and see me okay?
Yeah, oh yeah, I just can't see daily because of these shiny things, these plastic. I can't see the TV, so I just need to see this laptop.
Okay, so what I'm just going to show you there is that over the last 3 years, theft of vehicles gone way down. Less than 50% of what we were. B&Es, break-in-enters, way down. Assaults or persons crimes have gone slightly up. Drugs kind of going down and up, and then our total culture service going down. So and I'll just speak to drugs really quickly. So we saw a big drop in drug calls between 2018 and 19, and then we saw an increase last year. a slight increase. And the reason we saw an increase is drugs was included as part of our priority plan, and we focused on drugs very heavily. We targeted drugs, we targeted drug houses. As you know, we executed some warrants in Coos-Coopee recently. So these, because of the policing priorities that we had last year, we ended up coming in contact with more drugs, we seized more drugs, and we laid more drug charges, which is why we see a slight increase from 2019 to 2020, which is mostly proactive enforcement on our part. It's not meaning that we're seeing more drugs in the community, because that's not happening. We're just coming in contact with more drugs because we're completing more search warrants and taking more drugs off the streets. Like I said, you'll see in front of you a slight increase in persons crimes over the last 2 years. Two things to note there is that we're dealing with relatively small numbers when we're talking about persons crimes. So over 50% of all of our calls for service in our area involve property crime. And we're looking at about maybe 20% assaults, 20% drugs, and then 20% or so of other criminal code stuff. So when we're talking about persons crimes, we're dealing with relatively small numbers. But what the concern is that we're seeing an increase instead of a decrease like we are everything else. So that's just something to keep in mind as we're trying to decide what we're going to focus our police resources on this year. So you may have seen it, CJDC helped us out, but for a period of 2 to 3 weeks, we did a public survey online. So last year, if you remember at all, we did an open town hall public forum, and I really enjoyed that. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic this year, we just weren't able to facilitate that kind of a meeting. So we looked to do an online survey. For that survey, we had a total of 105 respondents, and they completed the survey and answered all the questions. And you can see for yourself from that survey, the top 4 categories identified from the people that completed it, which is members of our community, both rural and municipal, was drug offenses, break and enter residence, police visibility, and impaired driving. So the community itself, when they did the public survey, identified those as the top 4 issues that they want police to focus on over the next year. The only real surprise that I had, because I really did expect to see drugs, I really did expect to see B&Es, because those are some of our primary issues that we face here. I really expected to see police visibility, because it's something that we hear every year. I didn't expect to see impaired driving. That's the first time I've ever heard feedback from the community or any stakeholder or partner that they wanted us to focus on impaired driving. So that was a surprise for me. So in order to maximize the work that we do throughout the year, I can place some of the issues of concerns into specific groups. So as example, and I apologize, my boxes are messed up a little bit because I switched from Windows to Mac for my presentation. But as an example, theft of vehicle, shoplifting, break and enter residence, break and enter business are all property crime offenses. So I can group those into one group. And then by grouping the issues, I can identify the top 4 priorities as identified by the community. So those being in no particular order: traffic, substance abuse, property crime, and community policing. So if I group the top groups in the public survey, those are the 4 policing priorities that I get from that survey. The subcategories that offer an opportunity for me to be a little bit more specific on the identified initiative to address that priority while also addressing the specific concern of the community. So as an example, we grouped all of our traffic, distracted driving, impaired, speeding, and stuff into one priority, that being traffic. But specifically, the community mentioned that they want us to look at impaired driving, and they also had distracted driving on there as well. Is this making sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
I'll just take your silence as a yes.
I said you saw my head shake.
So from the survey, I can identify the top 4 policing priorities that the community gave me, which, given the crime trends that I'm seeing and my knowledge of policing in our area, I'm satisfied with one exception. So because I know, because I showed you before in a couple slides back, that persons crimes have been increasing over the last 2 years. If you remember, it's the only thing that hasn't been decreasing. I believe that we should also be including a priority to address persons crime, specifically domestic assaults and sexual assaults, which we're slowly seeing rise each year over the last 3 years. So I've taken that liberty of adding that as a 5th policing priority this year. So if we're looking at our policing priorities based on the survey and based on my knowledge of crime trends and what we're seeing over the last few years and this year, we will be looking at 5 policing priorities. That being, again, in no particular order: traffic, substance abuse, property crime, community policing, and persons crimes.
What about mental health?
That's certainly something that we can loop into persons crimes. Because I mean, we can include that as an initiative if that's what you think that we need to focus on.
Yeah.
Or so that we can discuss it. I mean, we only have so many police officers, right? So if we spread ourselves too thin, we see less effectiveness. If we focus on a couple of things, we have more or a greater bang for our buck, basically, right? So
Well, how do we
that's not to
get
say
you more police?
it's certainly mental health is something that's important. Yes.
Let's get you more police.
Yeah. that's not up to me.
None.
So that's what I have for you. You know what I know now. Really to sum it up, property crimes, we're seeing a huge decrease. 2018, 2019, 2020, and going into 2021, huge decreases in property crime. Over that same time period, we're slowly seeing increases, very slight increases, but increases nonetheless in persons crimes, those being primarily domestic assaults and sexual assaults. So based on the community feedback on what they really want us to focus on going into the next year, these are the priorities that I believe would be suitable going into 2021. And I'd be interested in hearing your feedback or thoughts on that.
Well, the person crimes is because people are home too, right? That's why it's down. There's lots of people at home.
Well, a lot of questions I get is, are you seeing any huge, trends as a result of COVID? Or are we getting more persons crimes? Are we getting more mental health calls because of COVID? I mean, like you just said, we're seeing more assault because of COVID, maybe, but maybe not, because in 2018 and 2019, before COVID, we were still seeing increases in persons crimes, right? So we didn't see increases just because of COVID, but I can't say on the information I'm seeing that COVID has really affected our crime trends greatly at all. So.
Can you tell me how many, for the fire hall here, your guys' police station? Like how one of the counselors asked in the last meeting, both of them actually, were concerned about the police station out here. Can you tell them more about how the police station is going out here?
Yeah, so that's classified as a community policing office, right? So it's not a satellite detachment, it's not a hub detachment, it's a community policing office. That's how it was opened and how it was intended to be used. So it's an office that we have that allows an officer to. We didn't have an office before. So before the community policing office, our office was in Dawson Creek, and that meant for our officers to be able to do their investigations, further their investigations, do statements, and enter the paperwork in the computer. They had no choice but to be in Dawson Creek. So the community policing office in Bruce would be allowed an opportunity for an officer to get themselves out of Dawson Creek and do some of that work in Kooskookee, that would be a little bit more visible in the rural area and to provide a little bit more policing presence in our rural communities outside of the main city of Dawson Creek, right? So the community policing office has been utilized, not as much as I would like, but we do try to use it as often as we can. I think over the last month, we've used it somewhere between 25 and 30 hours. One particular member I had working there every day for about 6 hours. Sorry?
You are using it then?
Sorry?
You are using it then?
Yeah, and like I said, not as much as I would like, but we are definitely using it, yeah. So in the last month, I'd say we've used it between 25 and 30 hours.
So Damon, what about if we built onto the fire hall and we went into community policing, could we actually have the provincial policing out here? The rural policing? Could we make that possible?
I think that's definitely a discussion that could be had. That's beyond me. That would be a discussion with the province, obviously, right? Because they're paying for those policing services as you are. But it's definitely a discussion that could be had. If there was a space for a rural policing unit to separate actually from Dawson Creek, could we move them into a rural detachment? I don't know. Those are discussions that we could definitely have, though.
Okay. Barb would like to say something to you.
I just want to ask a question. If we did have a police officer and we went with the provincial government, would that be an extra expense for our community?
So the way this is structured right now is I have 32 police officers, pardon me, 31. 31 police officers. 25 are funded by the city of Dawson Creek and 6 are funded by the province. So I have 6 provincial police positions that are covering an area of 11,000 square kilometers. So we have quite a large provincial policing area to cover with 6 police officers, right? And let's keep in mind that I always have some vacancies, whether it's members on some kind of leave, whether it's maternity or paternity leave, members off duty sick or injured. So of those, I never have those 6 provincial positions filled. Let's presume I have 5 positions. And because we have such a large area, I would never send out a provincial police officer to a call alone, because we're looking at some great distances to cover. We're looking at communication gaps, so the level of risk increases for the police officers. So I would need at least 2 police officers to send to calls in our rural policing area. So with 5 police officers, I just simply don't have the numbers to be able to provide a 24/7 provincial policing presence. And we rely heavily on the members both out of Dawson Creek, as Dawson Creek relies on the provincial members to supplement calls here in the city as well.
Thank you.
Is that your question?
She said, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else?
Do you have anything else?
No.
I guess
How do you feel about policing priorities that were identified?
Pardon?
How do you feel about the policing priorities that were identified? Do you feel that they're somewhat on track with what you were thinking before I told you what the crime trends were, or did you have something else completely in mind?
No, we discussed this, me and you have. Now you just came to council with that, right? So.
You know, I'm very happy to say that, we've seen some great successes over the last 3 years, in 2018, 19, and 20. Our rural calls, and so I have some rural policing stats here for you, our provincial policing stats. So in 2018, we saw a decrease of calls for service, or a decrease in crime, of 2.5%. In 2019, we saw a decrease of 9%. 2020, we saw a decrease of 4%. So year over year, for the last 3 years, we've seen nothing but decreases in calls for service and crime within our provincial rural area. Year to date for 2021, we're seeing so far a 19% decrease in crime. Now, I don't know if that's going to continue throughout the entire year at all to that number. 19% is a pretty large number. However, the important point to note there is that the trend pattern is the same, is that crime is going down in the rural area. I understand that for some rural persons, maybe it doesn't feel like that. There's some break-in there still occurring. There's some vehicles being stolen, but the numbers that we're seeing, crime is definitely going down.
And hopefully it goes down even more. More and more and more.
It is my hope, but I feel confident that we're seeing crime go down every year because of the policing priorities that we've had in place. We've strongly targeted, for example, vehicle thefts. We brought the bait car program in, we revamped our prolific manager offender program. We've got the interagency committee meeting going ahead now, and stakeholder meetings and networking taking place between organizations that have a stake in prolific offender management, such as probation services, etc. A lot of the things that we've done here over the last few years are supplementing what we're seeing here in our culture service going down. So I think so what I'm saying is I think over the last few years, we're doing something right. And my hope is that if we continue to do it right, we're going to continue to see that crime go down.
That's awesome.
Is there any questions at all from the council?
So previous to this month, 25 to 30 hours, is that the general amount of time that you spend in peacekeeping every month?
No, I mean, we had 1 month where we used it for about 2 weeks straight. We actually had an officer there for 2 weeks. I think that was in December or January. And then in February, I don't recall anybody there. I don't really track the hours that we're using it. It kind of comes and goes, ebbs and flows, I guess. I can make an effort to try and track it, but we risk it not being tracked effectively and me maybe not being able to express the real amount that we're using it. I don't know. Being able to track how often we're using that community policing office is very difficult because I'm not here 24/7. Sometimes officers in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning will go roll out there and go work in the community policing office because it's a quiet place for them to do some file work, and they don't let me know after. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Anything else? No. Damon, will you like, let the people know with the detachment that, I think they're doing a wonderful job? And I'm very happy with them, so please let them know that and yourself.
I really appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you very much. I'll pass that on.
Yes, please do. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you for allowing me to present to you today, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And 6.2 recommendation,
The council give a delegation from Rob Brown via Zoom.
can I get a seconder?
Second.
Mr. Brown, you around?
Just a sec.
Mr. Brown, are you around?
Okay, he is here. Alright. Oh, Rob! Where are you? It said he joined. He actually wasn't scheduled till 6. Till 7:30. But
Okay, well, do you want us to just keep going on and then,
I wonder if...
do you want me to text them?
Yeah, you can text him and tell him he can go ahead and join, or just ask him if he wants me to play the video first and then, because I have the video for you guys to watch. I'm gonna need my computer for a minute here. Where is it?
Thanks, everybody.
It's only a minute and 45 seconds, so. Oh, I'm going to go over my. No, you know, as the CIO, you should be the technical person, but not me.
He's probably going to.
I was a technical person in my last job.
Huh?
He's not answering to me, he's using his phone.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I can play the clip for you guys if you watch it.
Okay, clap, please.
Thanks, everybody.
This festival's in full swing now, so you got her, him, and me gather up these bears and kill them.
I don't know. I'm only in this for the people of our community. For the valley.
Bears!
Bears, schmears, we live with them every day.
The festival's still going on. We're having a great time. We can't put a bounty on the environment. It's on the radio.
Yeah, I heard some of the astronauts. Talk to some of these people. These are your people here. Your people, local.
Other people, those are all Burtons out there.
You know, let's take a look at that first.
I don't see anything.
Somebody get a cannon! Get on that gun! Some people, the tribe, you're the mayor of Chambert Law.
I value my life more than I value this rinky-tinky bounty. Some things just can't be taken lightly.
Zero.
Will you close the bounty? It's a pretty stupid bears if you ask me.
This isn't jobs. We're not gonna have you down there cutting open this bear and having some display of the Kinder Boy all over the dock again.
Will you close the bounty?
Keep saying that. Witches. No. Where are you, savage guards? Something going down here at mile 0.
Let's do some good. Let's kill this thing. But let's shop local. Will you close the bounty? This ain't no bear we've been chasing.
Rob? There? Okay, so where do you go?
Is he there?
No, he's not here.
He's not answering.
Well, it says it's still connected. Why is it? I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna start again. Unless he's having trouble with his internet, because he said he might.
Well, he's texting here.
Okay.
Oh, he has a message. He's there.
Yes. That's a start. Okay. Start.
How come it doesn't come up?
Oh, it is. It's right there.
Rob! Where are you, man?
Unable to join. Okay.
Oh, maybe because you have to change it because he's not the host?
Oh, because I'm not the host.
Yeah. Do we have to change it?
Well, I
Because Shane was the
shouldn't.
host?
I shouldn't have to because that meeting's over.
You never know nowadays.
What does that say? Doesn't say anything. I say I can get one to work, but not the other one. Okay, let's delete this one.
To tell him to sign back in or what? Or do you have to send him another email or?
No, he should be able to, he has the meeting invite. So just tell him,
Start.
Tell him what?
tell him we're ready for him, he can join anytime.
I saw it pop up a second. Can you minimize that, please? Oh, no.
Like that?
Yeah, no, that was you.
Yeah, it says connecting, but it's not connecting. So where did my internet go?
Let me double check that.
Put on internet?
Well, just
What's
click
that
it
little Zoom icon?
and it'll tell you.
This one
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Well, that's the meeting invite, which I pressed start and it brought up. Cause see, it says Zoom there. It says we're on Zoom.
We need something that's way easier.
Yes, I agree. We need somebody to show us.
What's up there? It says
Zoom
connecting?
meeting,
Yeah,
Zoom meeting.
it's trying to connect, but it's not. He did come, as Sandy said, he did come in earlier saying he might have problems with his internet.
Yeah.
He says he's trying to join.
See, at 7:08 he joined, but then I don't know where he went. Cause at that time Damon was still,
Maybe try that cord on the side of it.
okay, so you can see my screen, that's my screen.
Yeah.
That's what's here. 7 to 7:30, that's his meeting. Now I hit
Maybe
start.
Start at 7:30. Does it have a certain time on it?
No.
It popped up with the 5-minute window, so I clicked on that. But for some reason, see, it keeps saying connecting and it's not.
Well, should we just move on and you can play with that or until?
Sure. Well, maybe he'll pop in and. We should let Chris play with it.
New business 8.1 recommendations.
That council received a letter from the PRRD for discussion and action.
Second?
Discussion?
We have been requested to appoint a new director to the Peace River Regional District Board.
And there was already one made on the 17th of March.
And that was defeated.
It was asked to come back to the village.
Do you have anything that you'd like to,
Like to say?
yeah, to this?
You guys choose.
Okay.
I want to stay as director. I learn a lot. I bring value back to the village. I took Barb off of the regional district because I gave her 2 meetings when I went to Mexico. One was the SLP with Dawson Creek, which was not brought back to you guys, and the other one was the Drones. So I went for a whole year without an alternate because you guys would not remove her from the board. And here we are.
Okay? But this says they want a new director.
They're asking for a new director.
Yes.
But there's 4 or 5 of them that are okay with me on board. There's 2 that are not. I already know that.
So this letter's not,
Lori asked for that letter to be rewritten. Lori Ackerman asked for that letter to be rewritten.
But it's
It
signed
was
by
taken.
Brett.
Exactly, but Brad also did not vote. He voted with Karen. Watch the video.
so you're saying that this letter is invalid or?
I'm not saying it's invalid. Brad did not agree with him. Brad went and voted with Karen, who didn't want it to happen. Watch the video. They threw Donna basically under the bus. Lori said basically she didn't mean nothing if you watch the video.
No, I didn't watch the video.
Well, you guys should.
Well, I guess what we should do then is put forward in the next meeting, April 21st, Counselor Smith to sit on the board
As the
for
alternate.
the Peace River Regional District
As the director,
as the director.
and
We'll make that
Counselor Keeper
decision.
does the alternate.
Second?
And you want to be the director, or the alternate.
What else do we do?
Leave me as director, make her as an alternate, just like Donna was. Leave it as it is. I will make my way, I will make my way, I will do it right.
Okay, we are going to, this is a motion that we're going to do at the next meeting. It's just something that we're,
Why? It's here,
Putting
let's
forward.
settle it. Let's settle it.
okay.
I'm director,
Then I
she's
make a
alternate.
motion that Barb Smith is Director of Peace River Regional District.
And the alternate.
Then I'll be the alternate.
Okay, and what are the rules to this?
I'll second the motion.
No, what are the rules? I'm allowed to speak. What are the rules when it comes to the regional district? Are you to bring everything back to the regional district that's pertaining to Poo-Scoopy? Or are we gonna be left hanging like we were last time? If you correctly remember, Marlene.
I don't remember that part.
You don't remember.
No.
You don't remember a whole bunch of people being here and us discussing stuff? And it wasn't, you guys were all like, what happened? Like, we didn't know about it. And she attended the meeting.
I think that is incorrect, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, we could bring that up. We could find those meetings. Are we going into an in-camera meeting? Yes.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I'll second it.
Well, I'm not seconding. I'm not a voting board, so I guess it's you two.
All
So this
in
is how it's
favor,
gonna
I
go.
guess.
Make that a note that I'm against it, and make a note that Barb will be the last if she does not have everything brought back from the regional district, because I will be watching the meetings.
Harass.
Well, you will be bugged. You will be bugged.
Okay.
Let's make sure you do your homework. 8.2 recommendation. You were right, Chris. 8.2 recommendation.
That council grant a temporary use permit for the use of the building located at 5110 52nd Avenue, Poo-Scoopy, BC, for professional offices for a period of 3 years.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
I just have a couple of questions. Do we know what they're going to use the building for?
Yeah, it's going to be for,
Is that for public use? A public
Speak.
knowledge right now?
Is it the
It-
speech or the
yeah,
audio?
it'll be for a speech pathologist type of office.
Oh, professional.
Yeah. Yeah, professional offices, so.
Awesome.
Did he want that known?
No.
No, he didn't want that known.
Oh, no, not that he didn't want it known, your worship, no, that's okay. Yeah. it's gonna be, it's gonna be known that that business will be in there, so. And the business is already in town, they're just looking to expand.
You don't see any problems in the next 3 years that might pop up?
No, not at all. And in fact, quite the opposite, because the property is currently for sale right now. And as I noted in the report, the building that's there doesn't lend itself to, most of the approved uses in M1. Without either tearing the structure down and starting from scratch or significant alterations to the structure or the property itself, because it was previously used as administration offices. And under M1, it sort of switches things to that industrial nature and speaks to auto wrecking and construction offices. And again, some of those might be possible on a small scale, but certainly a little half-acre lot or whatever that is isn't really suitable for auto wrecking or industrial material sales or anything like that. So it's, I feel personally, if council doesn't grant the temporary use permit, that building is likely to sit there in sales limbo for a significant amount of time, because anybody coming in who properly marries, the zoning to the building and says, well, I can't do any of this stuff I'm supposed to be allowed to do in this building, I'll keep shopping kind of thing. So
And
I
he's
think
buying it, so. So it's another tax dollar. It's bringing people to the community, so.
And it's helping to improve and grow an existing business, so I think it's a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
They have indicated that if council grants the temporary use permit, that the sale's gonna go through, and then they do intend to look at pursuing a proper zoning amendment. But this is sort of an easier path right now to get what they need done in order to get the business going, and then that buys them some time to do the other applications.
Okay, so all in favor? 8.3, recommendation that council receive the budget proposal for public works, water fund, and sewer fund for discussion. Can I get a seconder? Second. Discussion.
Oh, do you want to do it?
No, actually, for this one, folks, if you're okay, we're kind of into the not so sexy portion of the budget. It's public works and sewer funds.
I was gonna tell him if he's in town, tell him just to come by and he can talk quickly. He's got a mask and everything, so.
Yeah, and these three sections are pretty straightforward. The increase in the public works section is almost entirely due to the potential, and I've just budgeted as a just in case amount, depending on how the union negotiations go. And then the water fund decrease is the absence of commercial water sales. We've seen commercial water sales drop off pretty significantly, and I suspect that's largely due to the large amount of vacancies over in the industrial section. So, yeah, pretty straightforward. So, unless you guys had any specific questions, water, sewer, public works is pretty mechanical.
All in favor? 8.4, recommendation.
That the report titled Housing Needs Report Proofread be received, and that this report be received in accordance with section 585.31 of the Local Government Act, and further that these reports be published to the Village of Proofread website, which is publicly and free accessible.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Discussion.
I would like to propose that we have a meeting, council of the whole, and go through this housing report to read through it all together, to decide or discuss what issues stick out for us, what are we going to work on in the future, et cetera, et cetera.
So sort of a separate working group
Just a
meeting
separate-
on just this?
Just that.
Can't we do that when we have all council there?
Yeah, definitely that would be best, but I think that's probably what Councillor Smith is saying after the election wraps up. That there is a lot of information in there. I found it a really interesting read. They did their homework. So very good, very good work on the part of the you know, the folks doing that and Urban Matters. But yeah, certainly, you know, to digest that level of information, it'd be helpful for the new counselors too coming in, I would think so.
So you want a motion on the floor?
Don't think we need a motion on that, Your Worship. We can just note to schedule a working group.
Okay.
Are we all in favor of this here?
Pardon?
Oh, yeah, you guys got to vote on the motion that was voiced.
Yeah. All in favor? 8.5, John Deere tractor. Do you want to discuss that, or can I get a seconder?
Second.
Discuss that, please, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Worship. So, council did approve replacement of that utility tractor. It's commonly known as the John Deere with us, but it's our utility, multi-purpose utility tractor for the village. The director did go out and source some quotes from local suppliers. We want it to stay local as much as possible for availability of parts and servicing and warranty and all of that good stuff. The Douglas Lake equipment came back with the most competitive quote here on a Kubota. The director has assured us that it's of sufficient capacity and implements and all that stuff to meet the village's needs. In case you guys have any questions, it'll work for us. And he's actually quite happy with that unit because it has the availability to have a belly mower, which he feels will be a lot better to do the large scale mowing as opposed to the tow behind one. So he strongly recommends this Kubota, you know, for that operational reason on top of it being the cheapest one. And they seem to be giving us a really fair shake on our trade-in value here too. So. And it's well within the budget guideline that you guys approved. So really, I'm just mechanically bringing it back to get council's stamp of approval on that particular unit. I do understand that this is also a sale price that may be ending soon due to some new taxation for some reason. Yeah.
Well, then I'll make a motion that we purchase the Kubota.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Correspondence?
So go shopping, Chris.
Yes, ma'am. Shopping's already done. Now we just got to do the buying part.
You see anything in your counselor's correspondence?
I can't keep all of this straight. I'm sorry. On page 229.
Council received a letter from DPH, it's information.
That was in last,
No.
What?
It's a new one.
it's a new one? Oh, I thought it was the exact same one. I was just asking why it was in there again.
Well, let's look at it. What's it about?
This letter came in after the last council meeting.
Oh, this is about the fire hall? Dear Village Council, my name is Danielle Beach and I am a local resident of Pooskoopi, and I am writing to you today in regards to Pooskoopi Fire Hall expansion. Conversations about the fire hall expansion have been abuzz amongst the locals in Pooskoopi for the past few weeks. Myself included, through these conversations, I have noticed that the lack of information and speculation is being played a key role amongst residents. It is also my understanding that the information we need to make such a huge decision, i.e. overall cost, effect or non-effect to future taxes, etc., cannot be asserted without first hiring an engineer to draw plans. I am also aware that the cost of the engineer is around $160,000, which is quite a large amount of money, but it is not also true that thanks to COVID-19, the village has more available funds due to the cancellation of large local events such as July 1st and Christmas truck light-up parade. She did her homework. So this brings me to why I am writing to you today. Could we not use the budget money available due to the cancellation of these events to fund the cost of the engineer? From watching previous council meetings online, I know that there is demand for the expansion, not only from our local fire chief, but also from the Peace River Regional District. I feel that it would be a waste of opportunity to not take the time to look into the expansion, but you have the access to these extra funds and the government grant. I would also like to add that I am aware that Councillor Smith and Councillor Heifert are putting forth a survey for the local community, and I feel that it cannot be objectively answered without all proper information, which again can only be acquired by hiring an engineer. A survey can only be an effective tool if a participant are informed and understand the information involved. I would like to thank you for taking the time to read this letter, and I hope it finds you well and in good spirits. Well, thank you then, Al. Anything to say to that?
Anything to say to that? Yeah, you can make, at a cost, or say what a cost is per square foot for a building. And you don't need the engineered plans. And you know roughly how much the building would cost.
Well, we already got that in the grant.
Yeah, but it was just saying that you can't do it without an engineered plan, and you
To know
can't
exactly.
to know what the cost would be.
Chris, can you enlighten us on that?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I have to disagree with that to a certain extent, Councillor Hebert. In the conversation I had with the engineers who had worked on the existing structure, due to a lot of the unknowns of tying in the building, availability of COVID materials, price change in COVID materials right now, they were extremely hesitant to give me any such price over the phone whatsoever. The estimate that we obtained for the grant was just that. It was an estimate from a local contractor who is in the business of building some extremely high quality, structures in the region. However, the engineers did say that due to the nature of this being an emergency services structure for the village, it did have to conform to some very specific building code specifications. It essentially had to be hurricane proof, earthquake proof, fire proof. We are not sure at this time if the quote provided or the estimate provided by the local contractor took those factors into consideration, or if it was simply estimated to be, well, yeah, a nice machine shop of a similar size would cost this. So there's a lot of planning, and they had told me they were looking at a minimum of 60 days to work through that before they could put their finger on, yep, we estimate it would roughly cost this. So in the face of a multi-decade professional saying, I can't even give you a number without looking at this for 60 days, I would tend to lean in with the statements made by Mrs. Veach here, because we don't know.
Okay, the things that I was looking for in the survey was, I'd like to know how much do we spend on the fire hall for water, for heat,
I can get you that.
for electrical, and then I want you to look at the size of the building that you're expecting to build, which is roughly 2-3 times the size of that, and who will be paying those bills?
So that would be the village in combination with the grant from the PRP.
Monthly.
Yeah,
Monthly, a grant will pay for that heating
well,
and the water
the,
and the electricity.
so the PRRD's grant and our funding agreement with the PRRD is for 34% of the annual budgeted expenses for the entire fire hall facility, and they give us that money in one upfront lump sum chunk.
So if I was paying $10,000,
They would pay $3,400.
they would pay $3,400.
Right. Yeah,
Okay, so if I was paying
I'm gonna pay 9% of
$100,000.
that 10,000.
and yeah,
Yeah.
so if, I mean, it
Those are the kinds of things that I want in that survey. I want, this is what we're paying, this is what is required for this village. A volunteer fire department. This is what we want to acquire, why we want to acquire this, what it's going to cost us yearly. Approximate, because we have no idea what it's going to cost us. Because the price of things keeps going up,
Yeah.
and that is true. Electricity keeps going up, gas is going up. We have all of these things to consider. And this village, how much will it be on the hook for? Approximately.
9% of the cost.
How much?
9%.
9%, right. And then when we build on, the regional district will also be paying.
So you
We will
would,
be on the hook for 9%?
as it stands right now, that's and on. I'd hesitate to use on the hook, Councillor Ebert. The 9% is the metric across all departments of every department in this municipality that's funded by taxes paid by the residents and businesses. 9%. So
I understand that part of it, Chris. I really understand that part of it.
So we always write the check because it's our facility. But, a lot of the questions and the sort of conversations online that have been happening are, well, it's going to cost this big number. It never has, because that doesn't come out of pockets of the residents at this time.
I like how people are
At
online and not
this time.
actually picking up the phone and calling you.
At this time.
And that, that's, I will say that Mrs. Beach did reach out to me and have a conversation, and certainly when numbers bubble up on Facebook, it's difficult for me as the CFO to see that and not say, well, that's totally not accurate, but it's not my
Where are they
place
getting
to
information from?
comment. But certainly some of the figures that I've seen presented on Facebook with respect to the current operation of the fire department are not accurate. And aside from
Oh, I mean, that's just
and that
right.
yeah, it's Facebook.
Yeah.
It's the modern day coffee shop. People talk, so I don't
Oh,
fault anybody for
Totally.
doing that. But
And that's why I say that when we're in this village, that we should be doing facts and make it simple. Let's get that survey out there and let's let these people take
But
a
you
look
guys didn't want
at
the survey. You guys didn't want the survey last
it.
week.
No, I did not want that survey.
But you guys didn't come up with any recommendations on what you wanted.
Yes, I did. I said I wanted something simple, to the point, an easy read. I don't want to hear, Pooskoopi taxpayers only pay 9% of the village's costs right now. And actually, it is true. But when the fair share goes, they're going to be doing that 100%.
potentially.
That's the
And
part
rents, the difference.
that is the part that, how are we going to make up that 91% cost as taxpayers?
When did the fair share come up, Ronnie?
Oh, it was in the 90s.
So in 2002, we could have had some property subdivided for taxes, and that didn't go through. And we didn't worry about the fair share then, and we're worried about it now.
What has that got to do with the price of race right now?
Well, it does. It has a lot to do with it.
No, I am saying that this is the position that we're in now. I'm a taxpayer. I worry
So
about
am
the
I.
91%.
Regional district does not pay the 91%, or the village will not pay the 91%. That equipment, most of that stuff in there is regional districts.
It's 34%.
Yeah, it's 34%. But if we build on, it'll be more, because they'll pay for the medical. Because we have a contract that we're supposed to be signing.
You have a
most of
contract.
that
We
is
have a
regional
contract, we've been
district.
working, Leonard told you guys that day, excuse me, I'm talking. Remember Leonard, when we had that Zoom meeting?
You have an agreement in place.
Yes. And we're working on the medical. Remember him saying that?
He'd like that, yes.
And he said he would give us money up against for our plans. He said $25,000 he would give us towards the plans.
That's awesome. Okay.
And I think
Rob's outside.
No, he's here.
you know, the questions you're asking, Councilor Hebert, can be answered to a degree. Without the engineered plans again, they're a little bit better than shots in the dark. For the reason that, well, the new building is going to be built to current standards. The heating unit is not going to be the same 20-year-old unit that's in there now. The air conditioning,
It's
the
not 20
insulation,
years
or
old.
whatever the number.
Yeah,
It's going to
exactly.
be, you know.
It's 12 years old.
So, you know, I would suspect the efficiency's improved in that time. So, you know, I could tell you right now, okay, that the electricity's $3,100. So if we're doubling the square footage of the facility, then reasonably we would double the electricity. But whoops, we're going to install all LEDs instead of high pressure sodium lights in there. So it's not going to double at all. Without somebody doing the plans, I have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
You know,
Thank
So we're still not getting an engineered plan.
No. Not with me.
Let me know the village know that. Anything else? And you had something to say, Barb?
I just had the question that you were making the statement that the regional district, most of that equipment is theirs and they're only paying 34%?
Because
I
most
just-
of their equipment is theirs.
No. No,
I'm
only-
just the statement.
Yeah, only one of the fire trucks belongs and is titled to the regional district. The rest of the equipment is all owned by the village of Kuskookee, including all the small tools, safety equipment, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So, but if we can keep mocking it, we do have a new fire truck coming, do we not?
We do.
The regional district does, and they
Yes.
can cancel it if they wanted to.
It's being constructed as we speak.
Pardon?
It's being built as we speak.
Oh, I know that. So what's this 9.20? Recommendation that council receive Indigenous,
It's just,
pardon?
it's just information on Indigenous training that was sent to us. Sorry.
Hmm?
I'm lost.
Sorry.
The cost, and I would like to take that program, please.
Chris has 3 that he is in contact with.
So there's 3 that have been recommended by
ministry.
by the ministry. I have not had a chance to reach out to those for a quote yet, and in light of 2 councillors resigning,
Yeah.
similar to the other thing we were just talking about there, I'm not sure if it's the best thing right now to sign up for something only to have whoever comes to the table in a couple of months excluded from it. So
Okay.
yeah.
So Sandy, this council received the email regarding BC Business Recovery Grant Program for information. Did you put that on the website for the businesses around here? That
Which one is that? Just a sec.
tryout for
I've
that?
sent quite a few to,
Since I'm not on
Yes,
Facebook, I don't know.
I believe I did, but I will double check with.
Thank you.
This dedicated rural
No.
transit fund.
That's for, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, read it up.
okay.
Read it up. Good. If you want to do it, read it up.
Well, I was just wondering if this would be something that we would be interested in.
I don't know, I sent it to Sandy, so read it.
Sandy?
Sorry, which one, what number are we
Page
on?
235?
916, Sandy.
Chris?
I can speak to that a little bit if you'd like, guys. There have been discussions, and I believe they were among the prior council, about having a bus route linked between Dawson
Well, we had one here,
and
we didn't
Puscooby.
have
And
They
yeah,
didn't make any money, so they pulled.
no. Not only did they not make any money, your worship, the usership was
Zero.
extremely low. Yeah, they commented that, on average, they had 1 or 2 people a week using the bus.
That was for
despite
the
trips.
Northern Health bus, but we also had the transit bus here at one time, and we didn't have the usership either.
Yeah, we did, previous council funded something called Step Up and Ride. And similarly, it was quite costly. If I remember correctly, it was $6,000 a year the council was paying to, Step Up and Ride. And the council of the day received a usership report, and same thing, it mathed out to like $2,000 a person that the village was
And
subsidizing.
then they were charging.
One of the things council took issue with was on top of the grant that the village was providing, that organization, they were actually charging users at the door to jump on the bus as well. So they felt at the time it wasn't good service for the expense.
Okay, and here's a 9.27 recommendation. That council received the receipt from the mayor on the Anthracian course as information. And module 2.
And what? That you
That's all
just
different
want us
races.
to know that you took the course?
Yeah. So the village is gonna be paying for everybody else's, but I feel I need to take them out. Okay. Resolution none bylaws. Sandy, where is the chicken bylaw? What?
Do you want to let Rob talk first?
Yeah.
Chicken bylaw's already been passed. You already approved chicken
Did
bylaw.
I?
Yeah.
Because they saw on the bulletin board, I can't remember. The bulletin boards are selling chickens, so
Yeah, you passed it last year in November.
it's all done.
It's all done.
They can buy the chicken.
They have to get a permit and they have to come in, Sam has to go and inspect, but yes, it's all set up, ready for them to go. We haven't had anybody come in and ask yet, except one person.
Danielle, Jessica, you can have your chicken.
I saw them for sale.
Yeah,
I've seen some signs for sale, like chickens for sale.
right
I
on.
hope they're not illegal chickens. But they can't be if you guys have passed it.
Are you buying illegal chickens, Rob?
I'm not, no. I'm not selling them either.
Did you guys have any questions for Rob? Before we write him the check or not write him the check or?
No, Lord.
It's already had 2 years into it, but whatever. Things change nowadays,
Oh, for sure.
I'm surprised it's not what I expected for tourism.
Okay,
I will say that.
okay, yeah. Did you want to, obviously it's only a minute 30 there. It showcases a lot more of the village than that. And we're shooting everywhere, but did you want it more literally, what's the word here? How to walk, I don't want to, this is a negative, but how to walk around Proust and tour the village, so to speak, as opposed to something that showcases the village in a piece of fiction.
Well, a piece of fiction, that's fine, but what, after you watch that, am I gonna say, I wanna go to Puscoopi? Or,
Oh, sure, yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Tourism.
Well, I think okay.
Yeah, thanks, George. It was back in, I guess it was 2019 when the original plan was proposed. It was put in as a tourism video on the budget due to the fact that it was showcasing, the community. Maybe at this stage it could have more been aptly, community showcase video or something to that effect. So I understand your point, Councillor Smith, that it wasn't sort of that classic person talking, well, here's the 3 things you can go see in our community, and a quick screenshot of each, and away you go. But, it was, and I recall the presentations from Rob that it was going to be showcasing the community as opposed to just being a, that sort of bland video that municipalities sort of put out, right, where the mayor, the councillor, the economic development officer is saying, well, here's our town, here's the parks, here's the couple of things you can go visit, and here's the addresses of them.
Certainly from the tourism point of view, my answer though would be simply once it's for sale, or where the village is selling it for that matter, that is a tourism product that is only a promotional tool for the village because it's almost exclusively shot in the village, right? As opposed to, something that's shot in Shetland or wherever, right? And, and through that, it also promotes the village inherently because it's 90 minutes or so of the village.
Chris?
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, folks, one of the good points for it is we don't really have any video promotional material, highlighting areas in the village. And as we saw in the screenshot, I mean, Rob's made a point of ensuring that the logo's there, the village office is there, the shots of the museum. So it certainly does have that promotional effect of the community, So.
And certainly included in this, which is something that's already shot, it's just, okay, I'll go shoot it again so don't weather-wise, is, for example, there's the 10, I want to say there's the 10 plaqued locations with the historical thing. Well, that will be included on, say, I'll call it the DVD for lack of a better word. Something like that would certainly be right on there as well, right? And then that obviously could be portioned out on your guys' website or however you guys would see fit as well. And that would be more of the, here's Chris or the EdDev person talking about the courthouse and then the old RCMP detachment and the bridge and whatnot.
Gallons.
Sure, yeah, I understand it's gallons. And then on that, just moving forward, this year, I know certainly something to advertise in the newsletter and in the community. We're going to have a couple public residential days where we'll go around, at a distance, of course, and everybody in their own cohorts because they're on their own front lawns, but we'll go rolling by and shoot and with the public's knowledge that that's why they're out there, kind of thing, if they want to be included. And same with the businesses, and with Deb, I've been in contact with some of them already, just depending on when they want us to come in and shoot at night or during the day, because some of them like the lights and stuff.
So what are your total costs?
A little less than what you've provided thus far, really. I mean,
Yeah?
yeah, that's about it. We're making it look like $1 million for the amount, for sure. But yeah, no, it's pretty low budget, for sure, in a good way. I guess what's the word? Lean, not low budget.
Wow.
Low cost.
Yeah. Camera was good.
Yeah. It seems to be, considering we're someday seat of our pants, right? I mean, that one business with the guy that's shaking the hands, that's literally going into wine and books last year, right? Just, okay, here they come, get them going, right? So,
Yeah. Very good.
So do you guys want to give him the check?
Certainly.
Okay, well, that's
All in
good.
favor? Okay, you get the check.
Okay.
Bylaws, 11.1 recommendation?
Guess we're done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. The council gave the first reading to the bylaw number 1028/2021 fireworks regulation.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Page
Are you
5.
gonna approve the,
Page 5?
I'm lost.
Page 274 of the agenda.
Yes, I got that, but I don't have that. I don't know where it ended up. Okay.
All in favor?
We've already discussed it, it's just the bylaw that was to be brought back to us.
Are you guys sure that this is going to work?
Well, all we can do is try, if not, we repeal it.
we put rules out there, this is the concern, bylaws and that. But only a majority of people abide by them. So putting another bylaw and enforcement and all that, is it gonna achieve what we want?
Well, one would hope. Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Worship. As with any bylaw, it's applicable to the law-abiding folks that take the time to research them. So to that,
Well,
that
council should
point,
be uphold
100%.
everything when it comes to council too.
You know, but I mean, we have a building bylaw and a zoning bylaw, and as I
Yard
mentioned,
maintenance.
right, as I mentioned to you guys right before the meeting, we've got folks that are building structures with heat and power that no permits, no zone, don't conform to anything. So despite the bylaw being in place, so we're always gonna have that, you know, element of folks that don't take the time or don't care, frankly, and you know, they'll just do what they wanna do. What this does, as with any bylaw, is empowers us after the fact to maybe take some action if we're able to identify
Or during.
who those folks are. Yeah, or during. So,
If the bylaw, this is the bylaw officer's job.
yeah.
And if he doesn't uphold the law,
Yeah.
then he has to be held accountable. Everybody has to be held accountable for their yards, for everything. Everything that is to do with bylaws, people have to be accountable for.
I
If
suspect.
people want to hold me accountable, people need to be held accountable too for what their actions and their things they do.
I suspect with something like this, it's gonna take some involvement from the community, you know, once the bylaw's out there, because, you know, that classic Roman candle fight at 2 AM between a couple of 16-year-olds, bylaw officer's gonna be sound asleep, is gonna have no idea that it's happening, right? So in order to enforce something like this, it'll take, you know, some involvement from the residents and reports, and then somebody calling in and saying, hey, I saw the neighbor's kids doing this yesterday, can we have bylaw, have a conversation with them? Absolutely, you know, but is, you know, putting something like this on paper mean that somehow the bylaw officer is gonna be available in 30 seconds on a moment's notice when somebody decides to fire off some fireworks at 2 AM in their backyard and scare everybody's dog?
Or kid.
It'll allow us to follow up if we're able to get accurate information about who, when, and where that happened.
What area?
But what area, you know, it's, but again, it's a step in the right direction and it helps. So.
All in favor? All right. 11.2 recommendation, that council gives second reading to bylaw number 1028, 2021, fireworks regulation.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? 11.3 recommendation, that council gives third reading to bylaw number 1028, 2021, fireworks regulation. Second. Discussion. All in favor? 12, administration reports. 12.1 CAO report. Chris, do you have one? Because you haven't
yeah.
been emailing them to me.
There is one in there, Your Worship.
Yeah, in here.
Two
But how come you're not emailing them to us anymore?
Admittedly, Your Worship, I haven't had time over the last couple of weeks.
Okay, I
Several
just
weeks.
wanted
Things
that.
have been quite busy.
Question.
Yeah.
Action items? So did you find out about that hole that was down over in, the healing center?
No. You mentioned that it was there. No info. We did have a resident come in and I had an extensive conversation with him about what's happening with it. He was quite concerned that it's been going on for so long, and I let him know the steps the village and council were taking, but that at the end of the day, the ball's still in North Wind's court at this point.
And Treaty 8, according to Treaty 8. So, did you find those emails with, or that conversation we had with Isaac? Over
No.
where the indigenous people were allowed to go?
No, I looked.
Not actual taxpayer residents?
I know I have notes on that somewhere, and for some reason my email is only allowing me to go so far back, so I think I'm gonna have to reach out to Nortec.
Well, would you do that, and I will pay for it, not the village? Because I think Treaty 8 needs to know that conversation, and I think the residents of Blue Scoopy need to know about that conversation, because I think that is very, very important.
Okay.
Because let's talk about racism.
I had, I know for a fact that, yeah, that was taken because I took those minutes of that meeting
Yes, you did.
personally. Yeah, so, and it was captured, it was logged on the system, and it was subsequently mailed out to everybody, but I think that actually went out to the last council, the last time.
Yeah,
that
it was the
was-
last council.
So somewhere I've got a record of that going out.
Yeah, there's a big fat file over there, I'm pretty sure it's in there.
Do you have it in there,
Did
Sandy?
you actually look for them now, Sandy? Because I would really like the residents of Pooskoopi to know exactly
Right
what's
now?
transpired, yeah, that transpired.
It's gonna take a while.
We can,
Okay, would you find it and
I
we'll read them
will.
out to the next council
I will.
meeting,
yeah, we'll
please?
have it
Yes.
for, if
Yeah.
Sandy's got it, yeah.
Because they
I
said,
will look and see if I have.
yeah, they said it started with the Northlands.
Okay,
So I would like to clarify what happened with the Northlands meeting. Okay,
I will
Thank
find
you.
all that.
Chris?
Yeah, thanks for just updates on a couple of the white items in there as well. I did contact the RCMP about the usage, although you guys heard that number here. Damon had given me the exact same number, about 30 hours was the amount of time that officers spent here in the month of March. The joint use agreements, I have reached out to the lawyers. They're just trying to figure out who that should best go to review the agreement. It looks like it might be a new lawyer that I haven't worked with by the name of Mike up there, so. Yeah, and then we haven't started on the support letter for the city of New West yet.
And the mutual aid agreement?
That's one of the two that, yeah, will go to Young Anderson. I think that's gonna end up falling on the desk of somebody who specializes in contracts, but that's kind of what they're trying to.
Which, but we want to protect our butts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Since I'm not going to the regional district board, I won't know what's all going on. Let me do. So this is all our budget, Chris?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a couple of lines that are missing, but that's the bulk of the capital and special projects plan. And for the next meeting, already we'll have a couple of these crossed off, being the tourism video payment, the tractor replacement. Blair's working really hard to find quotes for the pickup truck, and we're really struggling to do it locally. None of the local dealerships have a 3/4 ton that's not some big fancy.
But they can go
leather.
from a dealership, they can pull off of a different dealership.
Historically, we can. We've actually tried that, and the dealerships have said no. The dealerships with the trucks have said, nope, we're so starving for vehicles right now, we're not willing to wholesale it to a sister dealership for a wholesale price.
Well, we need it,
So, yeah, so what I've asked the director to do is look into one of two things, either order it with some future, so we order it now, so to speak. And our preference would be a Dodge. We had good success with that.
Really?
Although, yeah. Although we're looking at it, we don't need
A
3/4.
Ford is a work truck. A Ford is a work truck.
So, and we're looking at all of them, Your Worship. But what we're thinking we might have to do now is one of two things: either get the quotes on the understanding that they don't have them right now, but if we built it to these specs, this is what GM, Dodge, and Ford are quoting the truck. And then I'll bring that back to you guys and say, okay, we can move forward with this order, but the dealership's telling us we're not gonna get the truck till September.
Yeah, well, they
So
won't. If you
that-
order it, that's what happens.
Yeah, yeah. So whereas historically, especially up here in the north, you're able to just walk onto a lot and buy a white 3/4 ton pickup truck the same day, and then away you go. So I was, I am aware that some of the dealerships down south, or more southern, Prince George, Quesnel, those dealerships have trucks right now. So that's the second option. If we don't want to have to wait, we can expand the circle and see if we can find something from another dealership. But of course, with everything we do, our preference is always to try and shop local as much as possible. So yeah. So we'll try option A and see if we can order something 3, 6, 8 months out, whatever that might be, and if not, then we've got looks like the fire chief and I might have to take a road trip to do a pickup truck.
I think we should just order one if we can't order one, if we can't get one off the dealership. Now, we might as well just order one.
Yeah.
So bring back so we're shopping locally.
Yep.
Right? Do you all
Okay.
agree?
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
All in favor? Councilors' calendars. Everybody have a good Easter?
Yes.
Did you do the fiber optics? On
Yes, I
the
did.
6th? Okay.
It was quite informed. We had different aspects, satellite, etc. So we're still in discussion.
Why do you do that in your school? Why are you doing that now? Report now.
We said service, so.
Councilor Smith, your report, please.
Okay, I did the fiber working group, and it was quite informative. They had a lady there that is going to sort of attend the meetings now. She's got a good grip on the issues for rural areas, even across Canada. Eastern Canada is more advanced than we are in knowing what they need and whatever, but we're working on that.
So is she working for the regional district, or she's just working with?
I don't know,
working
she's
fiber
a
group?
paid, she's just part of the
Fiber
group.
group. Okay. Anything else?
No.
No. Councilor Beaver?
I touched base with the museum with Les
He's just itching.
and,
He's just itching.
oh, he'll give me a call when they're prepared to have a meeting and get started on things. I also reached out to Debbie Schmelik with regards to the food bank. She wanted us to know that in lieu of flowers for Sucre, that donations could be made to the food bank, and those donations could be dropped off at Stitchables.
So the mayor will be donating $1,000 under Sucre's name? Now I know where I can take it. I did call Debbie, but she didn't return my call. Anything else?
No.
Mayor McKetty, well, she did seniors at the Trombley House with the Easter baskets, and I did the Easter hunt with DC Charities here in the village of Coosco. I want to make an official statement regarding my position as mayor of this beautiful village. I decided to run for mayor because of the pride I have in our beautiful Coosco, because we live in one of the most beautiful places on this earth. In the most peaceful country on this earth, in a community with amongst the most wonderful, gentle, caring people on this planet. It was because of these reasons I wanted to do whatever I could to help our town continue to bloom and help shape our village's future for the better of tomorrow. But due to the mistake on my part, for which I will be internally apologetic for, we have spent the past few months battling not only COVID pandemic, not only the loss of many jobs, with many of our businesses facing bankruptcy, and not only my family lives being turned upside down. We have had to face international media scrutiny at the national and international level. The major issue is no longer whether or not I made mistakes in my social media. I openly admitted I did as well. We have all, my errors are my errors. I have taken the opportunity to learn from those errors. I've always admitted I was wrong. I have sought out and received guidance from many groups, including the Jewish Educational Council, the Race Conscious Network, and others, which have helped me understand not only the errors of my ways, but to better understand the importance of learning, which some people don't think I need. From those errors and the importance of my pursuing a more effective understanding of each other, apparently my errors are forgivable. According to them, they are. But my admitted errors are no longer the big question in the national media. The big question is, am I going to allow a social media error to cause the result of an election to be thrown out? The national media wants to know if a personal social media error on my part justifies what has been termed as an armed caravan attempting to intimidate our community, which 3 were only residents of. While the caravan protesters were in fact non-physical violent, let us not intend the purpose of the caravan was not intended to be bullying us and to intimidate us psychologically, to bend to their will. Myself and my family live with this psychological fear of violence every day now, because I'm being followed. I want to thank the caravan protesters for being non-physical violent and to thank them for helping me make up my mind about my immediate future. The job of every mayor in every village, town, and city is to do everything possible to maintain an effective administrative operation while helping develop a future vision for our communities. I believe I have done a highly competent job in the role of the mayor. This was the job I was elected to do, and it is a job I look forward to continuing to do. I want to thank both Chris and Sandy for their exemplary work during these difficult times, and I want to thank all the people from the community and across Canada who took the time to either chastise me or provide me with guidance. I didn't truly understand the importance of the democratic vote until I won the election. It humbled me. Nobody ran against me. For the first time, I understand how scarce our democracy processes are. In the last few months, I have also been humbled by the outpouring of both anger and support I have received and learned the importance of truly understanding that words matter. I have also been reminded that we all make mistakes, and I have made mine, and I have learned from mine, and I have learned from them. And I have also learned mistakes can be forgiven. Whether or not you forgive me for my social errors is up to each one of you to decide. I have sought your forgiveness, and I will continue to do so. I seek your support as I continue the position of Mayor of Coos Coupee. Our parents, grandparents fought and died in the 2 world wars to protect our democracy and our right to vote. It is in this spirit, their spirit, that I will continue to protect the importance of our democratic processes. Winning or losing an election is not what is important. What is important is that we have the right to vote. I urge all of those who are upset with my decision to join me as a candidate in the next election, and I urge you to use the democratic process to run against me. It is your democratic right to challenge me at the ballot box, a right I fully support as your right. In the meantime, I will continue to do everything I can to make our village a model of strength, vitality, optimism, efficiency, and going into the future. Thank you, Mayor McCuddy. So, in the process of the last 6 years that I have worked in the village, we have had 4 years of squeaky clean audits, some of the best in the village's history. Wonder why? Thank you, Chris. More than quadrupling the number of capital investments being made in the community. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of savings off the operation budget, added $1 million to the village reserved accounts, brought an RCMP station to town single-handedly, supported and expanded to our elementary school, flew to Victoria about that, had some of the best staff retentions in years, have brought in dozens of bylaws policies to help ensure and we operated fairly and transparently. And Sandy, would you please put this in as my report? And girls, I will resign when you guys resign. Until then, I'm on. And that is my report. Motion?
Motion to adjourn.